Is Labor leader Anthony Albanese getting a bit too cocky for his own good, a bit too cocky for his party's good as well? Now, for about 5 weeks now, I've seen and heard a few things that suggest to me this could be the case. And I've heard a few others observe, just bits and pieces too. And I think Australians have a rare ability to detect when someone thinks they're cocksure of themselves. Now, that might be because we're rather laconic, we're laid back, we've got that kind of persona that makes a cocky person stand out in a crowd. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. But there's confidence and there's sheer overconfidence, and that kind of overconfident swagger can be deadly to the way the public allocates its support for politicians. Australians prefer the understated, they prefer the underdog. Remember just before the 2019 election, as the poll showed very similar trends to what we're seeing right now, that a return to Labor was assured, Bill Shorten gathered together his leadership team and got together for a photo for a profile piece. It was their cringeworthy and cocky "we're ready" shot. Remember that? Their words, not mine. They said, "we're ready." It was a government suit-style pose that was best left after an election win, not before the vote. And after the coalition won, it was Liberal MP Alex Hawke who mocked Labor's hubris for that shot. He posted the definition on his Facebook page: extreme or foolish pride or dangerous overconfidence. Now, the first inkling we got of foolish pride when it comes to Albanese was last month. Remember when he walked in the rain on his way to an aged care centre in Sydney? Remember he left the holding of the umbrella duties to his aged care spokesperson, Claire O'Neill? If it was on purpose, it was unchivalrous and rather cocky of him. If it was by accident, and maybe it was, well, I'm sorry, it's just the same. Then, in the past week or so, we've seen the profile puff pieces begin to be published. In the Women's Weekly story, which mainly focused on his love life, he was criticised by some stylists for his "I'm very cool" pose for the cameras, his designer watch, his shoes as well. Talk about styled. I'm sorry, that's not the Albo I've seen at the footy. And then in yesterday's AFR profile, he summarised his chances of victory this way: when change happens and a new government is elected, if you look at 72, 75, 83, 96, 07 and 13, governments don't just fall across the line. When change happens, it happens in a substantial way. None of those governments governed by 1 or 2 seats. In other words, we will have a commanding win. Now, is this language the language of a whitewash? Is that the kiss of death for the odds-on favourite? Because up until now, it's always been about, he's playing the battler's card, a meagre start in life, brought on by the fact that he was brought up by a single mum, humble upbringing, surely not prime ministerial material. But again this week at the Sky News 25th year celebration, Albo met our new recruit, Piers Morgan. And Piers seemed taken aback too that Albo was so confident about victory in May.
I thought Albanese was more studious perhaps in the way he comes over. Very confident that he's going to win, and the polls show him ahead at the moment. But I would urge caution, I think, from Albanese, because I think this is not over yet.
If that's what a complete stranger gleans from his first meeting with you, it's fair to say you're pretty full of yourself. And then the clincher for mine came to me privately this week in a conversation I had with someone who has connections to a former Prime Minister. This very reliable source told me that Anthony Albanese had drawn up a special list of missions for when Labor wins. I'm told that one of Albo's heroes, former Prime Minister Julia Gillard, has been told already that she will become the next ambassador to the United States. And her partner, Tim Matheson, is very thrilled by that prospect. That's what I was told this week. Now, I can't get the story confirmed because who's going to confirm it? But if you're already bestowing those big appointments to your mates, months away from a poll, you're not just super confident of winning, you're so damn cocky it could be your undoing. Albo might want to stop infatuating over poll numbers and watch what's now dominating the news. Russia has precipitated war with Ukraine, which may force NATO and the rest of Europe to engage in some way. In times of war and massive global instability, the incumbent leaders, they're able to reset, they're able to regain lost ground purely by leading and reassuring an anxious nation. Now, I'm sure a war wasn't in the Labor pre-election strategy plans, but it should be now. Albo might need more going for him than just a streamlined approach to his appearance and his policies. The tide can turn in very uncertain times, and a bit of humility always goes a long way.